In 1982, a man walked into an hardware store in Melbourne to rob the store. He then shot the owner in the chest during the robbery and left her to die. He got away with it for 18 years. Nobody came for him. No trial, nothing. Then, in the year 2000, so 18 years later, he called the police himself voluntarily and confessed. But here is the thing. He didn't confess because he felt guilty. He confessed because he wanted to make a deal with the police. He wanted something in return. That's exactly who Gregory Brazel is. And that's what the story today is all about. Gregory John Brazel, known to most people as Bluey, was born on 17th September 1954 in Australia. In 1974, he enlisted in the Australian Army. He trained at Kapooka. He went through the standard military program, and by September of the year, he was posted to an Army medical training school in Eastville, Victoria. So, on paper, he is seen as a young man in uniform, trained, disciplined, part of an institution. In 1976, so 2 years into his service, something happened that showed a completely different side of Gregory. During a military medical corps exercise in Eastville, Gregory took 5 of his fellow soldiers hostage. Shots were fired. It took time and effort to talk him down and get him to release them. He was dishonorably discharged, and from that point on, the direction of his life becomes a lot more clearer in hindsight. Fast forward to 20 September 1982, Brazel walked into an hardware and gift store in Madiolok, a suburb of Melbourne. The owner, a woman named Mildred Teresa Ainmar, is there. What happens next is an armed robbery that goes as badly as possibly can. Gregory shot Mildred in the chest. She doesn't die at the scene. She was taken to the Alfred Hospital, where she later dies from her injuries. And then Brazel just walks away. No arrest, no charges. The case goes unsolved. Mildred's family gets no answer of who shot their daughter for 18 years. Nothing. That's important to keep in mind as this story develops, because during those 18 years, Gregory keeps going. He doesn't stop. He doesn't slow down. If anything, it gets worse. By June in 1983, less than a year after Mildred's murder, Brazel is in court for contempt. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison. He gets out, and by November 1987, he is back in court for armed robbery. He served 6 years more in prison. Between 1983 and 2000, he racked up 37 convictions across 15 court appearances: contempt, armed robbery, murder, false imprisonment, threatened to kill, arson, bribery. That's the shape of this man's life during that period. And it is worth saying that some of the offenses happened while he was already in prison. It doesn't stop when he was locked up. He just shifted the arena. By 1990, he is out on early release, and that's when things get magnificently darker. On 28th of May in 1990, while he is out on early release from prison, Gregory murders a woman named Sharon Taylor. Sharon was a sex worker. Her body was buried in a shallow grave at a place called Banrogarok, south of Colac in Victoria. She wasn't found until 23rd of September 1990, so almost 4 months later. Then, on 13th of September 1990, less than 4 months after killing Sharon, Brazel murders Rosalind Hayward at Sorrento. Rosalind was also a sex worker. Her body was found on the 1st of October 1990. 2 women murdered within the same year, both while Gregory was supposed to be on early release from prison, supposedly rehabilitated enough to go back to society. He was then caught and convicted of both murders in August 1992. He received 20 years for one and later reduced to 17 on appeal. In May 1993, another 20 years for the second murder. But here is where it gets strange. Even sitting in prison with those sentences, he was still carrying the secret of what he had done to Mildred Ainmar 8 years ago. Nobody knew about that yet. It's the year 2000. Brazel had been inside for years at this point. And then on 18th of August, he contacted police. He wants to talk. He tells them he killed Mildred Ainmar in 1982, the unsolved hardware store murder. He knows exactly what happened because he was the one who did it. But before he will make a formal statement, he wants something in return. He negotiates. He makes it clear that he won't confirm anything on record until police agrees that no life sentences will be imposed for this murder. Think about that for a second. This isn't a man who came forward because it was eaten at him. This is a man who had been sitting with this information for 18 years and now decided strategically that this is the right time to use it to trade it for something. The deal was made. He gave a statement, and in March 2005, he was convicted of Mildred's murder and sentenced to life imprisonment anyways. The deal ultimately didn't hold the way Gregory thought it would hold. And now he is serving 3 life sentences. Here is the thing about Gregory that makes this case particularly unsettling. He didn't become a different person once it was locked up for good. He had been described by people who work in Victorian prison system as one of the most manipulative and violent prisoner they've ever encountered. In November 1991, while being held at Melbourne Assessment Prison, he took a staff member hostage while he found how he was being transformed to Pentridge. In prison, already convicted, still taking hostages? And then on October 2006, it was caught collecting personal information on senior prison staff. And in 2022, it filed legal claims accusing prison officers of interfering with his mail and destroying his USB files, saying nearly all of his legal documents had been lost. He became eligible for parole in 2020. As of 2024, he hasn't been released. He is still at HM prison in Barwon. 3 people are dead because of Gregory. Mildred Ainmar shot doing a robbery she had nothing to do with. Sharon Taylor and Rosalind Hayward murdered while he was reintegrating into society on early release. What makes this case stick with me is that Brazel never showed any sign of being out of control. The hostage situation, the confession as a bargaining chip, the legal battle from inside prison. This is someone who always knew exactly what he was doing. Someone who is calculated, who planned, who looked at every situation and asked, what could he get out of here? That's not a man who has lost his way. That is a man who decided very early on that other people's lives were a resource he could use. And somewhere out there, Mildred Ainmar family spent 18 years not knowing who killed her or why. That's the part of this story I can't move past. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next true crime story.